Oh look, it's another radio. So when I purchased this one online, when I first contacted the person about it who had posted it locally, I couldn't quite see what the brand name was from the picture, was just quite blurry, and I asked her what it was and she said it's a toner. That looks kind of like a toner, but actually that's topper. This is a Northern Electric model 6302 topper radio, as it's known, and it's probably from 1949. Amazing how many radios from that era are available locally, but this one is a little bit different from the ones that I typically work on in one way. I usually work on all American 5s, 5-tube radios, transformerless radios, and this one, as we can see right here before we even open it up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tubes. So this is a 6-tube radio. It has an extra RF amplifier here. Typically the converter, the 12BE6, will serve as the RF amplifier, so these two functions are kind of combined, but in this one you have a separate RF amplifier, so it'll be a little more expensive. This radio should have a little better reception, a little better sound. So we're going to open it up and see what we're dealing with. So the first thing we see right away that's kind of nice is it has an RCA jack. Why do I like those? Because I can use them to attach a Bluetooth receiver. So there's only one AM station that's available locally, so these are much more functional and much more saleable as Bluetooth receivers. So I use that RCA jack, and we have a switch here, mono radio switch. So that's the first thing we can say, and of course it is missing its screws, which is so common for these radios. Looks like it has a replacement screw there as well. So let's see what else we can see on it. It has the CSA approval. There's your model number, 6302. Made in Canada, of course. The name of one of the original owners. The power cord probably has a changed, maybe not. Yeah, it probably has a changed plug on it, but the cable itself, the wire itself, is fairly pliant, so we should still be able to use that. And let's see if there's anything on the bottom. Yep. So that's nice bright label, isn't it? Look how clean the bottom is compared to the rest of the radio. This was obviously sitting in someone's shop. So here's our tube chart. 35W4 rectifier, 6BJ6, 12BE6, another 6BJ6. So those are our two amplifiers. So this is the RF amplifier. This is serving as the IF amplifier. 6AQ6. That's not a very common. It's not a very common tube to see in that function. So that's serving as the automatic volume control and the second detector tube, and then the audio frequency amplifier, and then your power tube, which is a 50B5. So typically in these transformerless radios, the filament voltages of all of the tubes will add up to around 120, and that's how they can get away without using a transformer. So we have 35 plus 6, 41, plus 12, which is 53, plus 6, which is 59, plus 6, which is 65, plus your 50, which is 115. So wall voltages around there would have been anywhere from 105 up to 120. So that's perfectly correct. We have our typical warning label from this period, post-war period, warning you that you need to have a license to operate this radio, even though it's only a receiver and not a transmitter. And we have all three, looks like all three original screws down here, so that's nice. A little bit of wear there. Well, let's take it apart and see what we're dealing with. So the knobs are off, the screws are out, and let's see what we're dealing with here. Well, the dial cord's still on. That's always nice. It's not too bad inside. Oh, it's very, very dusty. So this is quite unusual for an early radio like this to have these smaller tubes. Huh, that really surprises me. Let's take a look at the speaker. No obvious tears. It doesn't mean they won't appear shortly, because I've seen that many, many a time. Oh, cat came to visit. Yeah, that's working just fine. Wow, these knobs are really, these pots are filthy. Okay. Well, we'll take the tubes out and we'll test them. Let's see what's on the bottom. See what's under this little guy. Okay. So some of these capacitors are obviously original. Let's see if we can see some date codes on them. This one, this here would be the most obvious one. That looks like it might have been replaced, but it's in great shape. See a date code. Huh. That looks like it might have a date code of 1945. That doesn't seem right. That's pretty early. That's oh, it looks like it might have been a replacement too, so someone probably had some old stock. What is this? I don't know. But anyhow, we'll take a look. It's pretty clean. It's pretty clean under here. That's not original. So it's had some work. I've yet to find a radio that's still operating at this stage of the game that hasn't had some work on it. But anyhow, we'll see exactly what's been done, and we'll see how it's operating. Okay, so we're going to start off by testing the rectifier 35W4. Testing first for leaks. That looks good, and now we'll test the strength. And it's good. It's quite strong. 123. Great. So here's the end result. The 35W4 rectifier is good, 123. The power tube 50B5 is 96, so that's excellent too. The first RF amplifier is 92, the 6BJ6, so that's good. Oh, the converter tube, the 12BE6, 43 and 60, so we're going to have to probably replace that. The IF amplifier is the second 6BJ6 is only 45, so that is not good. What I could do is switch these two and see whether that fixes the problem. Otherwise, I'll try to find a 6BJ6. And here's the bad news. The 6AQ6, I'm not surprised at all, because the tube that's in this position, which serves a number of different purposes, it's involved in the automatic volume control circuit, it's the detector tube, and it's the second IF amplifier. Because it does so much, it gets beaten up all the time, so that's usually the tube that is the weakest. And sure enough, so the first part of it is okay, but then 45 and 30, so I'll have to see whether I have another 6AQ6. Not likely. It's not a very common tube amongst the radios I work with, but you never know. You might luck out. When I first bought this radio, it was cosmetically in pretty good shape. There was some white paint spots on top, as you often see with radios of this vintage. I guess lots of people had them in their shops. That was easy to clean off, and but the grill, which is actually some kind of a metal, was tarnished with a black tarnish of some kind, and I tried to clean it off, but I just wiped out all of the sort of copper color, so I ended up painting it, and it actually turned out pretty well. I'm quite happy with that. So also, next step, one of the tricky parts of this radio is it really has to have this bulb in there. It's part of the circuit that if you don't have it, you have to replace it with a resistor, a high wattage resistor or something. But so anyhow, I've replaced that, and we should be ready to give it a try. So I don't have it up to full voltage yet. The radio is up to about 93 volts, and I can already hear a lot of hum. So that means we're going to have to take a look at the supply filter capacitors, and maybe some other things. But anyhow, at least it's making noise. That's a good start. And the light's lighting up, so that's a good sign as well. Well, I didn't realize I had it on phono there. So now I've got it on radio, and I am getting a signal. Again, lots of hum. I think we'll probably just have to replace that capacitor and we should be okay. So I have one 40 microfarad capacitor parallel to the filter capacitor there, and that seems to have almost pretty much eliminated the hum. So clearly that's the problem. We'll just have to replace that. And in fact, the part number on the filter capacitor here is the same that's listed in the schematic, which means that that's the original filter capacitor. So those really will only last, they're only designed to last about 15 years. And this radio is, 70 years old. So there you go. Okay, so we have replaced all of the paper wax capacitors with polypropylene, and we've replaced the electrolytic capacitors, all of which were in the four capacitors were in the one cap can, and so I've replaced this cathode bypass capacitor that was actually originally in the can with a long wire running up here. I simply replaced it down here with an electrolytic, separate electrolytic, and up here with should be 340 microfarads. I only had two, so there's two, and then I have two 20 microfarad capacitors in parallel. So we'll start her up. I've got it through a light bulb limiter in case there's a short, through an isolation transformer and a variac. We're at 115 volts. And there's a nice, oh, that pot's a little dirty. See if we can get a station. Oh, look at that. So the hum's gone. We've got some reception. We'll have to do an alignment and we'll take it from there. So the alignment is complete, and I've added a Bluetooth receiver to the RCA jack. And so now it actually sounds really great. Beautiful little radio. I'm quite happy how that turned out.